up, boxing fans worldwide? This is True Grit Boxing News, checking in with another video. Man, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn your notifications to all, and follow me as I bring you this boxing content on a daily basis. So today's topic, we're going to get into a topic that's been raving across all channels, across all avenues, which is the sanctioning bodies of boxing. Are the sanctioning bodies destroying the sport? Yes. These sanctioning bodies, these belts are definitely destroying the sport and bringing it down in a very, very, very bad way. It's to the point where it seems like the fighters just need to do away with these belts, in my opinion, because I mean it's just ridiculous, the biases and the things that go on behind the scenes in the politics of boxing surrounding these sanctioning bodies. So let's go over what sanctioning bodies we have in the sport of boxing. We have the WBC, the World Boxing Council, the WBA, the World Boxing Association, the WBO, and the IBF being the top four. And also you have the Ring Magazine belt. Then in total, there's about 17 belts. You have interim belts, you have diamond belts, you have international belts, you have a plethora of belts. And I'm going to quote Floyd Mayweather in saying that it's just too many belts. It's too many belts to determine who's the champion, who's the real champion. You got the WBA that has a super belt and a regular belt. Why do you have a super and a regular? Like, it's just more means and more ways for these sanctioning bodies to get money. Because keep in mind, these sanctioning bodies get paid big money by these boxers and the promoters in order to have their belts and carry their belts. And also the fees people are not set. It's not just one set fee that your promoter or the fighter pays for these sanctioning body belts, okay? In majority of cases, the sanctioning fee is determined by the fighter's purse. Now check that out. Check that out. So if you're getting the $5 million for a fight, you're going to end up paying more than for the same belt than somebody that was getting $1 million purse for the same exact belt. It's just out of hand at this point. This is just a way for these sanctioning bodies to get rich off of these fighters and also off of the promoters. And don't forget, the promoters also have to pay the sanctioning fees to even host a championship bout. And then the fighter who wins has to turn around and then pay a sanctioning fee to carry and hold this belt, this title. We need to do away with it. We need to do away with it, even though we know that it has been black fighters, the great black fighters, that have uplifted all of these sanctioning bodies since they were created in the early 1900s into present day. But there is entirely too many belts and too much tomfoolery going on with these sanctioning bodies and their belts. Let's highlight the WBA. I'll start with them in most recent terms and times. The WBA, right? Their champion at welterweight. Their super champion, might I add. Remember, they have a regular and a super. Their super champion is Yordenis Ugas, right? He's coming off of a victory win against Manny Pacquiao in spectacular fashion and winning the super title. He had an agreement before the fight that after, if he wins and beats Manny Pacquiao, he wants to unify and fight Errol the Truth Spence, who is a 2-belt holder in the division already. So he can unify. The WBA steps in and says, no, we're not granting you that fight. We're going to put you in a tournament with fighters that at this point are irrelevant and don't matter, in Stalionis and Butev and just fighters that nobody knows, nobody cares about. So they were going to step in the way of us, the fans, getting the fight that we should see, which is a unification bout between Yordenis and Errol. Now, recently, the WBA has came in and they've tried to clean up their mess that they started originally with this controversy. Now they're saying that they're willing to allow Yordenis Ugas to fight Errol Spence to unify, which it shouldn't have even been in question in the first place. This fight should have been allowed from the jump for Ugas to fight Errol, which is the fight that he wants, and also the fight that Errol wants. Because Errol wants to become undisputed at welterweight. If he beats Udonis, that means it's only one belt holder left. And that's the WBO that Terrence Crawford holds. And then that's the fight that really we all want to see, is Errol Spence against Bud. Okay? But the WBA was trying to stand in the way. Now they're not. Thanks to Stallionis willing to take some step-aside money to step aside and allow the fight to happen. Okay? So that was one of the first things that has been happening recently with the sanctioning body that's trying to get in the way and create politics and differences in the sport of boxing. Now let's go to the WBC, the World Boxing Council. President Mauricio Sulaiman. As of late, he has just been causing and bringing a whole lot of confusion to the sport. I mean, I don't know what he's doing. First of all, the first bit of confusion that he brought to the sport was presenting another WBC belt that I like to call the Duck Belt, but its name is the Franchise Belt. A franchise tag belt, in which originally, when it first came out, it was granted to Canelo Alvarez to duck Jermell Charlo at 160 and a whole lot of other political stuff that was going on behind the scenes in the sport. Canelo didn't want to fight Jamal, so he asked and petitioned for this franchise belt. Now, Mauricio Sulaiman is on record coming out saying from the jump, the franchise belt is just a franchise title. It is not a belt that can be won. It is a belt that the fighter has to petition for. And he says they analyze a request. When people put in a request for this duck belt, franchise belt, they analyze it and they decide if they're going to grant it or not. Canelo's case, it was granted. Lomachenko did the exact same thing as Canelo to duck Devin Haney in relinquishing, vacating his regular WBC title. When Devin Haney became his mandatory, he vacated the belt and petitioned to have the franchise belt. Again, a belt that cannot be won, that is just a tag as a most valuable fighter, so to speak, if we want to put it into that realm. But it's the duck belt. It's the duck belt. Why, Mauricio Sulaiman? Why? Why do we have this belt put into play? If you can't be won, if it really has no staple, what is it out there for? You're granting the fighters ways out of fighting their biggest, best competition. And it needs to stop. This needs to be alleviated from the sport. Other news of the WBC. Now, Devin the Dream Haney is on record confirmed as the WBC champion at 135 pounds at lightweight. He is their champion. You can go on any boxing site, main media or not, and see Devin Haney is the WBC world champion at 135 pounds. George Ferocious Kambosos is not undisputed because he does not hold the belt that Devin Haney has. Furthermore, on even the franchise situation, George Kambosos has the franchise belt and he didn't even petition for it. So Mauricio Sulaiman is making up the rules as he goes with this franchise belt, because the franchise belt previously was held by Teofimo Lopez, who petitioned to get the franchise belt if he beat Lomachenko. He beat Lomachenko. He received the belt. Now he fights George Kambosos. George Kambosos did not petition for the franchise belt whatsoever. George beats Teofimo and is granted the franchise belt, the duck belt. Mauricio, can it be transferred from fighter to fighter or can it? Can it be won in a fight or can it? Is it petition only or is it not? All this confusion being started by Mauricio Sulaiman, the WBC president. Now he's on record calling Devin Haney the pride champion of the WBC at 135. Mauricio, what is a pride champion? What is that? What is a pride champion, man? What is that? What is that? It's just totally and blatantly disrespectful to Devin Haney, who worked and has defended the title now. Has defended the title against Linares, defended it against Gamboa, defended it against Jojo Diaz, now you're calling him some type of pride champion. We know what it is because he don't have that color for the protection. He doesn't have that complexion for the protection. Okay, we know what it is. Boxing is a racial sport, and anybody that tries to tell you otherwise obviously does not know boxing and hasn't been following it for long enough, or can't even go back dated in the beginning days of time of how racially biased this sport is. And these sanctioning bodies are continuing and continuing and continuing to push wheels forward with these bias tactics on black fighters. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous for Mauricio Sulaiman, the president, to call Devin Haney the pride champion. Just totally disrespect this young man, this young great fighter who has worked his butt off to get in the position that he is in. He was in mandatory position to fight Vasily High-Tech Lomachenko. Vasily High-Tech Lomachenko comes with excuse after excuse, saying he's too young, he's too green. Well, if he's too young and too green, fight him. You want a tune-up fight? You giving him tune-up fighter status, then fight Devin Haney. We know what time it is. Vasily don't want to get that ass whooped by Devin the Dream Haney. Let's just be real about it. True grit boxing style, okay? It's just real crazy the things that are going on in the sport right now with these sanctioning bodies. These sanctioning bodies are just causing a whole lot of confusion, unnecessary confusion that we don't need, that we don't want in the sport. So in my opinion, I feel like these fighters need to band together, form their own union, and just do away with these belts. Make these sanctioning bodies respect them, because at the end of the day, without the fighters, don't nobody eat. Promoters, sanctioning bodies, networks, none of these corporations are going to eat without the backbone of these fighters that get in the ring and put their lives on the line to put on a show for you and I, the fans, and for the whole world to see. So they should be respected and held to a higher regard when they get in this ring and putting their life on the line, okay? They should be paid handsomely for it, and they shouldn't be disrespected when they do good and great things within the sport. So the things that are going on with the sanctioning bodies is just ugly and very disrespectful at this moment, you know, and it's just terrible. So that's all I got for y'all on this one. This is True Grit Boxing News, checking out with another video. Man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications to all, and follow me as I bring you this boxing content on a daily basis. Also, follow me on Instagram at True Grit Boxing News and on Facebook at True Grit Boxing News. Peace.